All right, players, you ready for the ride of your lives? Because today, we're talking about a casino law so wild, so bizarre, that you'll swear I dug it up from some ancient scroll of forgotten weirdness. But oh no, my friends, this one is alive. Well, and still the real deal in one of the swankiest gambling hotspots on the planet. You wanted the goods? You got 'em, players. Now buckle up, because Degenerate Dragon is about to lay it all out on the table. So here's the scoop. Monaco. Yep, that legendary slice of European luxury draped in yachts, supercars, and more wealth than I've lost in Vegas, actually bans its very own citizens from gambling in its famed Monte Carlo casino. Let that sink in. The country with some of the most glamorous gaming halls on Earth says, "Whoa there, local folks, step away from the roulette wheel." You can stroll in from Paris, Poughkeepsie, or Timbuktu, flash your passport, drop your chips, no problem. But if you're actually from Monaco, game over. Talk about the ultimate hometown disadvantage. Now, players, let me break down the backstory, because a monster law like this doesn't just spring up out of nowhere. Back in the mid-1800s, when the monarchy of Monaco was hungry to boost the economy, they built the Monte Carlo casino to lure in wealthy foreigners. But the royal family had a major fear. They didn't want the local people gambling away their meager fortunes and turning the principality's streets into a ghost town. So, they cooked up a rule. Monegasques couldn't step foot inside the casino unless they were there to work or to sing a cabaret number on stage. And that's basically been the law of the land ever since. In other words, step right up, tourists. Blow your euros on black or red. But if you're born and raised in Monaco, your money's no good in your own backyard. Now, I don't know about you players, but I find that insane. Because picture it. You're a proud citizen living in a place synonymous with high roller glitz and glamour. Practically invented the phrase, jackpot chic. But that golden palace at the end of the block, you can't touch it. You can watch the Ferraris peel out, watch the flashbulbs pop as the rich and famous waltz through those doors. Yet you're stuck on the sidelines, like a kid pressed against the window of a candy store he can't afford. Imagine growing up hearing those slot machine siren songs just out of reach. My bones ache just thinking about it. But it gets better. The ruling family set it up so that while the casino raked in piles of foreign cash, the locals wouldn't gamble themselves into ruin. On the plus side, they used to say it meant no local would face the heartbreak of losing big in that legendary marble palace. Also, the monarchy used a chunk of that money to lift taxes from citizens. So if you happen to be a Monegasque, you generally pay low to no income tax. Sounds great, right? Sure. But as your old pal Degenerate Dragon says, sometimes you'd rather have the dice in your hand than a check from the crown. Because there's just something about rolling those bones that can't be replaced with a polite handshake and a pat on the head. And let me tell you, players, people have tried to buck this law. Over the years, there have been a handful of Monegasque rebels sneaking in, maybe borrowing ID from a foreign friend, or pulling a quick accent swap. Whatever it takes. Most of them ended up caught and booted out. The fines can be steep, and the public shaming's worse than me trying to explain my system for beating the house to the pit boss. Yeah, that never goes well. This begs the million-euro question. Does this insane law even matter nowadays? Monaco's changed. The world's changed. I got Wi-Fi that's more advanced than what they used to put men on the moon. So come on, let the locals play, right? But the old traditions die hard, especially when they're signed in ink by royals who like how the system works. And ironically, the law's been crazy effective at keeping the local population from burning through their savings at the baccarat tables. Talk to some long-time monegasks. They'll tell you they're perfectly fine being locked out. They'll say the place is for the high rollers and tourists anyway, like they're proud it's not for them. I'd be rattling the gates, demanding my seat at the table. Shaker in one hand, stack of chips in the other, screaming, "Let me in!" But I guess that's why they call me Degenerate Dragon, right, players? It's not just about the law itself, though. It's about the principle of living in a city that's literally built on bets. And you're told, nope, not for you. If you were to draw parallels, it's like telling a Major League Baseball player he's allowed to stand in the dugout, but never step onto the field, or letting a top chef hang around the restaurant, but never taste the dish. The psychological effect must be bananas. An entire population basically being told, we built a giant money magnet in our backyard, but it's not your party. I'm sure there are upsides, obviously. The free healthcare, world-class education, zero or minimal taxes. But you always wonder if they stare at that building with a pang of curiosity, maybe a flicker of longing. Because as sure as I know the taste of stale casino coffee at 3 a.m., that gaming floor always calls your name, loud and clear. Now, let's step back for a sec, players, and consider the bigger picture of laws like this. Monaco's not alone in passing bizarre gambling regulations. Countries all over the globe have their own quirky spin on controlling the pastime. Some places let you gamble your life savings away, but clamp down on how many drinks you can have while doing it, or put a curfew on table games. But there's something particularly dramatic about physically banning your own citizens from entering your most famous attraction. It's like they built the perfect playground but posted a sign that reads, "Residents not allowed." The audacity is as tall as the Monaco skyline. This old rule's also a look into the psychology of risk. See, governments everywhere get anxious about letting folks gamble away their paychecks, and we see them come up with strict laws, weird regulations, or moralizing pep talks about financial ruin. The difference is, Monaco's solution is so straightforward. No residents, no problem. Who needs therapy or public service announcements, right? But does it solve the underlying craving for risk? Of course not. If living in Monaco taught me anything, and by living in Monaco, I mean blowing a ridiculous sum of money there on a weekend trip, it's that people who love to gamble will always find a way. So if a Monegasque truly wants to test their luck at a table, they can hop a train or a boat and find a casino next door in France or Italy, or even go online. Though online gambling's got its own labyrinth of rules. The moral of the story? Where there's a will, there's a roulette wheel, players. And let's be honest, it's not hurting their tourism numbers. Quite the opposite. The law itself adds to the mystique. It's like telling you, even the people who actually live here can't get in. Guess you'd better come see why. Folks love an exclusive club, and Monte Carlo has turned exclusivity into an art form. They get their Ferraris, their Bond movie references, that elegant facade, and the rest of the world keeps piling in, starstruck by the idea of being able to do something the locals can't. The monarchy ends up looking like the ultimate casino bouncers, picking and choosing who's allowed to party. Gotta hand it to them. That's some next-level marketing. So yeah, players, this is the real deal. The insane casino law that still exists. Not some trivial old ordinance nobody enforces, but a concrete, time-tested, ironclad rule that shapes an entire nation's identity. That doesn't blow your mind? Maybe you're more jaded than I am. And believe me, that's saying something. But see, here's the rub. The house always wins. That's the #1 rule of gambling. And in Monaco's case, the house is the monarchy. They found a way to draw in global high rollers, protect their own people from financial meltdown, and look incredibly glamorous while doing it. That's a trifecta of success that'd make any pit boss proud. Before I let you go, let me lay one more nugget of wisdom on you, players. This whole situation might sound comedic, like we're all pointing and laughing at how nutty this law is, but it reminds us that behind every casino chip is a very human story. Fear of losing it all, the lure of striking it big, the desire to protect what you have. Gambling laws, no matter how ridiculous, are always about controlling that tension between risk and reward. Monaco just took it to an extreme, and that's why I say, keep your eyes open. The next time you're at the tables, wherever you are in the world, remember, there's always some fine print in the law. Just be glad you're not a local resident in the city that never let its own people in on the fun. All right, players, that's my 10 minutes of real talk, big laughs, and a law so nuts it could make the Vegas Strip blush. You stuck with me, and for that, I raise my lucky dice in your honor. Now, don't leave me hanging. If you got a kick out of this monologue, if you learned a little something, or if you're just itching to share it with your crew, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me what you'd do if your own hometown banned you from its biggest attraction. And most importantly, subscribe to join the Degenerate Dragons band of merry players so we can keep riding this adrenaline train together. Because trust me, you don't want to miss the next roll of the dice. Until then, remember, sometimes the craziest gamble is the one the law won't even let you make. Stay sharp out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Degenerate Dragon, signing off.